Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. And today I'm talking to a gentleman who I haven't spoken to probably for over a year now. These things do happen, but developments are going on and he is coming to the UK. You may have heard, of course, of One Small Town, an initiative that is spreading across the globe. There was a meeting in near Stroud, just trying to guess now how many months ago. That was, say, 4 or 5 months ago, which was very successful, got people buzzing. He is, of course, Michael Tellinger, and he joins me now. Hello, Michael. It's lovely to have you back on the show.
Hello, Richard. Great to see you. Great to talk to you again.
It's great when people disappear from my channel and then you hear that things are going on in the background, new progress is happening, developments and all of that. So it's always good to have an update. But one of the exciting things for me, and I'm sure for the UK audience, is that you're coming over to Britain, and you're coming in June, so not too far away. One in Buxton in the Peak District, which is very lovely, and in Dorking in Surrey, Sussex Surrey border. I always forget whether it's in Sussex or I think it's in the
I think
Surrey
it's
border.
Surrey. Yeah, I think it's in Surrey.
Yeah, which is not a million miles from me indeed. So I should hopefully, if my diary isn't full, I don't think it is full around that time, should be able to come up and shake your hand. So that's very exciting. But why? Why are you coming over? And also, is it the first time you've been to Britain?
No, no. I've been to Britain several times, doing several workshops and presentations in Britain and also in Ireland. In fact, but the last time I was there is 2016, and I did
Right.
a One Small Town presentation in 2016 in St. Peter's Church in London. And it was packed out. I think we had like close to 300 people in there. You couldn't get a mouse in there. And that was at the height of when the whole One Small Town uh, um, fever started to set in. People started to realize that we better start doing something for ourselves. So it's hard to believe that that's almost 10 years ago. Well, it is 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible.
it's really exciting for me to come back because I used to do worldwide tours every year. I spent probably 6 months outside of South Africa traveling, doing lectures and workshops on, first of all, ancient civilizations, which is my speciality of Southern Africa, but always combining it and focusing on the One Small Town initiative, which is a solution for the problems that we find. And I always tell people is very little we can do about the past. But if we stand together and we stand united, we can do everything we choose to about the future. And that's how I see it. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And so you'll be doing workshops as well,
yeah.
when you come back. So
So
there will.
I'm doing the one in Buxton just date wise. The Buxton is 29th of June, just about a month from now.
Right.
And the 5th of July, the following weekend in Dorking down in Surrey. So I really hope to see you in person and shake your hand. When you meet someone in person, you either realize that you don't get on or you build lifelong relationships. And I I
Yeah.
have been very fortunate to build lifelong relationships with amazing people right across the world over a 14-year tour span that I've been doing. So
Yeah, well, this is the nature of of what we do, isn't it? That you're making contacts with some amazing people that ordinarily you wouldn't normally have that opportunity. Are you able at the moment to release the venues? Because I know sometimes these things can cause a bit of trouble.
yeah.
I've been cancelled a few times from venues because you've said where you're going to be, and it gives the other side time to moan. But it'd be useful, obviously, to know where to go, and also tell us how they. I mean, we'll put all the links in the description, obviously, but how they would then book their tickets, etc.
Yeah, so obviously the first place to go to, Richard, is go to our website, onesmalltown.org. Go to news and events, and all the information is there. There are links to book your tickets. The venue names are there. I'm sorry, I can't remember the names of the
No,
venues.
fair enough.
I have not memorized the names of the venues,
No, no, that's all right.
but they are fantastic venues, both in Buxton and in Dorking. And so you can do all of that. Also, the Facebook pages, my personal Facebook page and the One Small Town International Facebook page, my Telegram channel, my LinkedIn channel. So all these places have got all the booking details and how you can reserve your
Absolutely.
space. Yeah, I think we're starting to get to the point where the tickets are starting to sell out. So that's very exciting prospect for us, obviously, very exciting news. So
Yeah, no, brilliant. Now, so tell us then about some of the developments that have been going on, because it's been as I say, it's probably a year since we last spoke, and there was the introduction to the idea in this place just south of Stroud, which is in Wiltshire, is it Wiltshire, Somerset? See, my geography's going all over the place. It's the trouble when you travel about. All the borders start disappearing. But anyway, yeah, we had that introduction. I'm not really sure what happened with that, whether that sort of developed, but you have ambassadors and that sort of thing going on, spreading the news. But so tell us what's been happening since we last spoke.
well, what's happened since, I'm sure you are aware, as is everybody else, the world is going more and more insane every day. And for that reason, more and more people are finding One Small Town and realizing, wow, this is a great movement. This is a great initiative. I want to be part of this. So we're just growing in awareness and more uptake, more and more people that want to get involved. And that's a good thing, but also a potential problem because to get involved takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes focus. Because what we're doing at One Small Town is not just a fly by night little simple thing, a bunch of people getting together and growing some food on a piece of land. Yes, we're doing that, but we're doing that and so many other things that create that chain reaction and closing the loop of creating self-sustained communities of prosperity and abundance forever, not just for a short period, that we lay a foundation for our towns and communities that create this abundance forever. So we've been growing in popularity and awareness. But one of the things that has come up is how can I get involved? What can I do? And I get these emails, dozens of them every day.
Yes, I
Hundreds,
bet.
hundreds a week. Like, I love what you're doing. How can I get involved? Can I start One Small Town in my community? Or is there one small town that I can move to? It's like, that's probably the most frequently asked question. And it just shows me how desperate people are to escape this tyranny that we find
Yeah.
ourselves in. And that breaks my heart, but also gives me joy because I know we're on the right track. So,
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things that attracted me to what you're doing is a lot of people have the model of moving onto the land and setting up from scratch, which is, pretty hard work, and you have to be of a certain type. But I remember in our last conversation, and you were using baking bread as a metaphor or an allegory or an illustration, I suppose is a better word, saying that this sort of thing can actually take place within existing towns. Which is very much a different model to a lot of the people who are sort of saying, well, we've got to buy a piece of land and then set up a community and, fight the system with the planning and all of that sort of nonsense. Whereas people can actually embrace this concept and get going straight away and if I remember rightly, undercut the costs that corporations have with all their infrastructure and slow way of working, because you're using real people to do real work, as it
Yeah,
were.
exactly. The one of the things I tell people right up front is that we're not creating intentional communities. We're not buying a piece of land and asking people to come and live there and set up, a campsite or a tent or a caravan or start laying out a township. No, why? All of that exists in the small towns.
Exactly, yes.
It's like all we got to do is get the people in the town, in small towns, where people are still a lot closer to each other. People tend to know each other. They tend to know their neighbors and talk to each other and, stop each other when they go shopping and have a conversation or, meet at sporting events and whatever. And people know their neighbors in small towns. In the cities, most people don't even know their neighbors.
No,
So
right.
so the small towns are the perfect places to get people to get out of the box of conventionality, outside of the box of and start doing things for themselves. Come together. We decide what we're going to do. We choose what businesses we're going to start. We choose what are the low-hanging fruits for what kind of businesses we can start and what kind of community upliftment projects we need for ourselves, for our children, and start creating these projects that we then implement ourselves. So
Yes.
it's really that simple. But as simple as the idea is, which it's a simple idea. People come together and we start working together. We created a united labor force. That's literally we turning our town into a company that's owned by us, the people. And we are the brains that come up with the ideas for the businesses that we start and the labor force for the businesses that we come up with. And, and then obviously agriculture is always first point of departure that I stress because food security, seed banks is priority number one because you know that the farmers are under attack, especially here in South Africa. Farmers are under attack in Great Britain,
Yes.
in the United States. They're under attack in Australia. They're under attack everywhere you go. Farmers are under attack in all kinds of ways, whether it's financial, government, corporate tax, land invasions, toxins, forcing farmers to inject their whatever it is. It's horrible what's going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So so where was I going with this? Oh, it's a simple idea that millions and millions of people have had to try and create something new, and and that's why it's taken so long, almost 20 years, to develop the One Small Town into a cohesive, well planned, very strong, integrated model with all the tools necessary so that it doesn't fall flat. Because and that's what we've had to do. So last time we spoke, I spoke to you and I explained the fact that we've had to create a blockchain and a platform that manages all these integrated activities from from starting writing a business plan to checking the viability of the business plan to putting together a project management plan for that business to implementing it, who's going to run it, put it on the system. So we've had to build a platform and a blockchain that can manage all of this, that the people in each town can track what their activities, can track their success, can track their profits, and make sure that they're not screwing things up. Because if you look at any intentional community that's happened in the past and it's happening now, and I don't want to give the people bad news, but all intentional communities that I've looked at have failed, every single one of them.
I suppose with one of the problems with an intentional community is that we're not brought up in that system. We're all little chiefs in our own houses and this, that, and the other. And when you bring all these wonderful people who've got these great ideas and they're all investing in this one project, at first it might sound great, but they do seem to be pulling against each other because of the various egos and the amount that's been invested in these things. And they're not sort of autonomous within the same project, so that they feel they have some stake in it, but not... I don't know how I'm going with this now, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I'll tell you, I have met countless people that have started intentional communities. Some of them still run these intentional communities who are hanging on by the skin of their teeth, just somehow surviving month to month, and wishing that they could just drop it because it's a nightmare
Right.
for them. But they
Yes.
can't, because if they drop it, 500 people or 200 or 1,000 people are homeless and have become homeless. So it is a terrible situation. So One Small Town has learned from all these problems. What not to do has been by far our biggest lesson. What doesn't
Yes.
work? And we built all of these protection structures into our blockchain so that no one can run off with the money. And one of the most common things that happens in small towns, I'm sure it happens in Britain as well. Somebody comes along and says, "Hey, wow, I love this town. I'll invest £1 million or £10 million into a project in your town, in your community," and they donate £10 million or whatever, and to somebody in the town that claims they represent the people, and before you know, the money is gone, and there's no trace of it. And the investor is pissed off, and the people in the town are pissed off, and everyone's pointing fingers at everybody else, saying, "What happened to the money? What happened to our investment?" And it's gone. And this happens time and time again. It's unbelievable. I would say, in fact, Richard, I'm not joking. I would say that 80% of the time, That's an investment is made into some big project or business or company or development in a small town, 80% of the time that money is stolen and just simply disappears. And that's absolutely tragic. So we've had to come up with a system as a solution that that cannot happen. And we have that solution. And that's why what we've created with One Small Town, the platform, the blockchain, the system, our own reward system with the Infinity token that is based on time contributed by our members. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It is absolutely unique. And the entire system is it's a self-management, self-fixing, self-reparation system. If anything goes wrong, we can fix it very, very quickly because there are many people that can contribute to fixing it and making sure that it doesn't go off the tracks. And I must tell you, it is so exciting the stage that we're at now, especially since we've last spoken, which is, I'll tell you, it's probably more, it's approaching 2 years now.
Is it really?
Yes, since we've
Goodness.
spoken. I'm not kidding you. That's how quickly time flies.
Yes.
But since we've spoken, we've had so much interest, and one of the great, wonderful, miraculous things that have happened is we've had enough funds from the sale of our tokens to be able, the seed funding tokens, to be able to start a factory to develop some new technology that we've developed, which is our IP that belongs to One Small Town members around the world. And our IP that we've developed, our own technology that is just in the process of rolling off the production line as we speak. Just
And what is RIP?
What I can say, it is recycling technology on a level and a scale that does not exist in the world at the moment. It is quite spectacular. So all the toxic, rubber, plastic, polystyrene, that kind of recycling.
Right.
And obviously, it produces and creates a variety of energy-based products. And everything we do is totally green, non-toxic, environmentally friendly, no toxic emissions, none of that stuff. It's a miracle what we've done. And I tell you, every time I go to the factory and see our machine, I was there a few days ago, I cannot believe that we've managed to pull this off. And this technology, and we have probably about 12 other technologies lined up, which includes air conditioning, water heating, water purification, desalination. The seed treatment technology is absolutely critical. I'm sure that'll make your heart sing because you love agriculture and
Yes.
farming and all that. So our specialized seed treatment technology, which is ours as well, that just makes the seeds, or that it strips all the GMO from it. Once we treat them, it makes them more powerful, like almost primordial, strong DNA of that seed is reignited. And they just grow quickly. They grow literally twice as fast from the tests that I've personally done myself at my place here. I can tell you that the corn that we treated grew twice as fast and produced fruit twice as fast as Monsanto or GMO corn.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Sounds miraculous. Are you using electroculture or other
No,
things?
it is electroculture on steroids. Yeah, it's a
Right.
controlled environment where we energize the seeds with certain frequencies, and
Right.
there in the frequencies that you use is where the IP lies. So obviously we don't want to. I'm not going to blurt this out, otherwise Monsanto is going to use it. So
Well, of course.
everything we do, so you can imagine. So before we start, and this is what I discussed with our UK and England ambassadors this morning. We had a meeting with Julia and Michael. They're such an amazing couple. Well, they're not a couple, but two beautiful individuals that are really
Yes.
driving One Small Town in England and UK. They're so excited about bringing this seed treatment technology to England and to the UK because the farmers are under attack, and we need to
Absolutely.
help the farmers. So I can't wait to do that. I cannot wait to bring it. But to do that, just keep in mind that we have to have some funding in place so that we can start a proper seed treatment facility with tunnels and labs and compartmentalization, because when you testing your treated corn seeds, you can't have them contaminated with the test trials that you're growing at the same time and things like that. So it's quite a bit of a setup to get the seeds treated, grow to maturity, test them, check out the DNA, grow the second generation seeds, treat them again, and by the time by about the third generation, we should get a stable hybrid that is completely new DNA that we then register, that belongs to the One Small Town members worldwide, so Monsanto can never steal it. And this is a big project, but one probably closest to my heart.
I mean, food, of course, is as you said before, is absolutely the number one, and we've seen how farmers have been targeted, as you say, across the world. So I'm sure that a lot of people will be very focused on that. So many people at the moment are in this movement, in this awareness, let's say, that food security is one of the big issues. So that in itself would, I'm sure, excite a lot of people to know. And it sounds, I mean, I don't know too much about how this technology works, but people are telling me about the frequency of things is very much the key to it. And it's sort of old technology that's right.
It's everything.
Absolutely.
Vibration, resonance, and frequency are the keys of life. Yeah.
Exactly, and people are becoming more and more aware of that, so they'll tune in, it seems to me, on those sort of things. So that is, I mean, that's really exciting.
And keep in mind that all these technologies are funding mechanisms to fund and launch the small towns. So when I talk about these technologies, it's not that we're developing the technologies like Elon Musk and I'm going to get very rich. No, I get nothing out of it. Absolutely nothing. I just get paid a salary, just so I can survive. But what happens to the money, since we are a non-profit company in South Africa, and every country we set up as a non-profit company or a community initiative, something or whatever the right corporate structure is in that specific country. I know that in the UK we're looking at some very unique company setups that you have there that will benefit the private membership, One Small Town private membership association kind of club thing, so that we're protected as members and benefit from the businesses that we start and the technology that we use and the technology that belongs to our members, so it can't get stolen from our members worldwide. It doesn't belong to me, and the profits don't come to me. Everything goes back straight into the small towns.
Yes. I imagine with this exciting new approach, you get a lot of pushbacks, and we spoke before we started about how much our images are now being utilized to probably have a different narrative and all of that. How severe is it for you out there with people trying to prevent you from getting these things going after 20 years of doing this?
It's really interesting question that the pushback I get, we don't have any pushback from any government or any such organizations. I've had instigators, infiltrators, crazy people. The only thing I can assume sometimes is they've been possessed by the devil or something, because they literally get Tillinger derangement syndrome. Literally, like that. Like they just want. If they could kill me, they would. And I'm not quite sure what I've done to them. Some of them claim that they've stayed with me and I've stolen from them, or I steal all the money and I live in mansions and I drive fancy cars. It's that kind of thing, trying to undermine the credibility of the movement. And you know how you do that, because the movement has so much credibility and people just love it. People just want to live in a small town, one small town. Now, they want to live there now. So you can't shoot down the message. You have to shoot down the messenger. So they're trying to make Michael Tellinger look like a con artist or some sort of a dubious character. And that's the kind of pushback that we're getting. But it's very easy for people to check out my credibility and see who I am, where I've been, and what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And it's out there in social media. Everyone can check what.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that. I mean, this is the paradox, I suppose, that you get somebody like yourself or others who are incredibly enthusiastic and pushing forward an idea, And then you'll get those who'll say, but this is a cult, so there's this side of it, there's a nefarious side of it. And you kind of get to the point where you just can't win. You certainly not win those people over,
Yeah.
because they've got some derangement about things and confusing people who are trying to do the best for everyone and just have that in their heart, and those who are, sadly, and probably a minority in the end, but get the best press, who are trying to diddle people left, right, and centre. The human condition is a very difficult one to deal with. I can absolutely...
And it is very much a minority. I'm talking about, like a handful of people out there,
Yes.
literally. So it's not even, we shouldn't even be discussing them. So I never respond. I don't give them any pushback. I don't give them any joy of responding or reacting to any of their negative posts or anything. The moment you do, you give them legitimacy, and that's
Yes.
all they want. They just want, oh, Michael Tellinger has responded to me, now I'm legitimate. So we can't do
Yes.
that.
No,
So
I
we just
agree.
have to just
But
let it go.
on the other hand, I was just going to say, obviously, people have every right to be cynical when something sounds too good to be true.
Absolutely.
And that must be a difficulty for you when you've got the solution and you're putting it forward, and people are going, well, I've tried such and such and it didn't work, or I lost money on this, and that of course is the hurdle for anyone who's got a solution that actually sounds really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to those people, I say, One Small Town is a voluntary membership. No one is forcing you to join us. If you don't like it, God bless, have a nice life. It's my standard answer. Go
Right.
and do something. If you think you can do something that's going to work, go out there and do it. Please, I really want you to go out there and be successful. And that's my standard message to everybody. Because if you're successful and we're not, I will join you.
Yes, there you go. You see,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, you can't say fairer than that. What will people expect to see at these workshops? What are you going to sort of give us when we come over there to get that? So that cynical person coming in, going, yeah, I really want this to work,
Yeah.
but because events and life and governments have battered me down, I'm just cautious.
Yeah, just hold that question, Richard. I want to come back to that. I want to just tell you how the profile and quality of person that is suddenly interested in launching One Small Town or getting involved on a really integral level, how that profile has changed. So we've gone from sort of bunny hugging, tree hugging, hippie-minded kind of free-spirited people, which I love
Right.
dearly, as many of my
Yeah.
friends are such. But those kind of people are not good at starting businesses and running businesses and being
Right.
on time and sticking to project management. And so that's suddenly shifted quite dramatically over the last 12 months, even the last 6 months. It shifted to people that are far more business orientated, tech orientated, because they love our blockchain and our platform and the whole way that the technology works with our membership cards, the clocking using QR codes and our blockchain to make sure that our time is measured accurately and no one is cheated and everyone gets the infinity token, and you can then go to the store and use your infinity token in the One Small Town store with produce and products that are on the shelves. And so more and more tech minded, business minded, CEO minded people are suddenly being attracted to One Small Town, and that is a fantastic new development. So that really makes me excited. So we're expecting, and I hope to attract more diverse people, business-minded people, CEO kind of people. That will be the perfect kind of headspace to be a One Small Town ambassador. Because imagine if we start 100 businesses or 200 businesses in our small town, which is not difficult to do. People think it's difficult to do. Just
Yeah.
think about agriculture and all the down the line products that you can create from agricultural products. You can have 100 separate businesses, and pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and so forth, technology, manufacturing, packaging. You can have 100 businesses launched in a relatively short space of time. So the ambassador has to be a CEO kind of minded person who knows how to run a big company, who knows how to manage many departments like agriculture and technology and
Yes.
making bicycles and fridges and distribution and God knows what. That kind of person is the ambassador, and we're starting to attract them now. And
So
at the same time, we need people that know how to do stuff with their hands, engineers, farmers, agriculture
yes.
experts.
So what I was going to ask then is that in recent times, and by recent times, let's say the last 100 years, we've seen perhaps those tree hugging, bright spirits that you're talking about at the beginning, on one side of the spectrum, and then you've got the very greedy commercial sector of people who are just out there to make as much money, perhaps deal with shareholders, perhaps not treating their staff very well, and just trying to extract every last ounce almost for themselves or for a small nuclei of that business. So now that you're talking about a much more commercial venture, which might perhaps worry some people and think, oh, hello, is this a new extreme commercialism? How do you address that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And again, that question comes from a sense of fear. People don't know
Yeah,
that this is a new idea. Some say, oh, it sounds like communism. No, it's not. Communism is a brutal dictatorship where the government owns everything and you own nothing.
exactly.
What we're doing is completely the opposite, where our community owns everything. We start the businesses, we plan the businesses, we choose who we're going to put in charge of our businesses. So if we start an engineering shop, we're not going to put my cousin Vinny in there to run the engineering shop, manufacturing, intricate engineering, things. We need an expert in running that engineering shop. If we start a bakery, we're not going to put a plumber in to run a bakery. We need a
No,
master baker. So we as the community, through our elected leaders in our community that we choose, not the government or anybody else, we elect our members and we choose who's going to run our bakery, who's going to run our engineering shop, who's going to run our dairy, who's going to run our laptop factory. So
and
so this is
what would their incentives be? Because we're in this corporate world where incentives is results count and money for this and bonuses, targets, and all those sort of things, and we've seen how big corporations gobble up others and people are shifted through. They don't necessarily answer to the responsibilities. We've seen so many failures in the police, for example, where they failed and then they get transferred with a pay rise to something else, which is just
that is
not
unbelievable.
acceptable.
I know that it's a really amazing example.
And that seems to go on across these corporations. They're all talking to each other, and
Yeah.
so again, just to appease people who might be a bit skeptical, that are we replacing one type of commercialism or extreme commercialism for another? I'm not suggesting you are, but I'm just
Yeah,
putting that
no, no,
point
and
to
it's
you.
I'm glad you're asking the question. It's really important. So keep in mind, we want to start as many businesses as we can for our town that belong to us, uh, and keep in mind that a minimum of 60% will remain with us, the people. 60% of the profits stay with us. The rest are allocated towards an investor if we need an investor, and then 10% for the management of the Once More Town office. Right, so it's a very simple split. Once you get into the Once More Town website, you look at the structure. It's very simple to understand, and it stays the same across the board. It never changes. So it's a stable system that we've developed. We are the majority profit and shareholders and profit shareholders of these businesses that we start. So no one can ever shut us out or kick us out or close the business. So now suddenly we've got 1,000 jobless people walking the streets. But you're asking about the greedy corporation. We obviously, if we start an engineering or a laptop factory, we want that laptop factory to make as much profit as possible, right? Because it's our business. We don't want it to, what, we're going to start it because we want to waste our time? No, we want to make laptops for the world. So that is
Right.
the objective, to make
Some
profit.
might. I mean, if you look at the existing high end businesses, and you say you want to make as many laptops or you want to make as much profit as possible, it seems to me that not enough money currently, or well, let's just say stick with money because that's the thing that
That's
we're all
that's the thing that
using,
drives everything. Yeah.
that drives everything.
It's
But not, it does seem that not enough money is put back on the employees
Yes.
and it reinvested in people. So, in other words, if they're making a big profit, we're still paying you down here in the packing department a pittance, even though without your packing, the company couldn't deliver
Ah,
the
okay.
product.
I see where your question came from. And sorry, you see, I'm so close to it, I forget that.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand that.
So let me just qualify this. So when I said right up front when we started to talk, we're literally turning our town into a company. The Dorking One Small Town initiative, and every member becomes a member of that company. Company starts as many businesses as we can. We put the right top management in there who are paid a salary, like in any other business. We handpick them, make sure that we've got the best people in there to make sure they know what they're doing. And the rest of the work, whether it's accounting, PR, legal, distribution, security, package, whatever it is, the manual labor, that's done by us. We're the people. So
Yes.
we are the ones that contribute our 3 hours a week or 3 hours a day towards those businesses. So if you look, so in other words, we've created. If you have a town of say 10,000 people, and all of us contribute 3 hours a week, we've got 30,000 hours of free labor a week. If you compare that to a company that has to pay 30,000 hours of labor a week, that's like £1 million or more. So once you start or hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's a lot of money. So
Yes.
a monthly, so we can start to compare our town and us, the people of our town, with the potential labor that can put out the same amount of produce or product or whatever output of a company with a similar number of employees, except that the company with those employees has a huge labor bill, a monthly labor cost. We don't have that labor cost. So those profits that are generated by that company are not paid to the laborers. They come and are distributed to us, the members of One Small Town, of that specific town. So I share this vision. We start 100 businesses that each make £1 million profit per annum, right? If we make that's £100 million profit per annum that we then distribute to our members. You do the numbers. If you think this is impossible, then you need to do the numbers. I'm talking to people that are watching this. Please go and do the numbers and crunch some numbers and hypothetical situations, and you're going to get extremely excited about the prospect of what a small town of 10,000 or 5,000 people can achieve. Millions of pounds profit per annum are easily achievable if we do the right thing. And the reason I say that is if you start comparing companies that have 4 or 5,000 employees, the minimum number of turnover that those kind of companies do is $1 billion per annum. Some of them do 16 or $20 billion per annum. So if we're not doing those numbers, we're doing something wrong.
Right. And just to remind us the hours again. How does the hours work? Because people have got plenty of free time to follow other dreams,
No,
passions, and all of that. Yeah.
yeah. Look, nothing changes. You keep your
Yeah.
job. One small town basically means you have to contribute 3 hours a week towards your one small
Right.
town community. 3 hours a week.
3 hours
That's
a
it.
week. Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
everyone's got 3 hours a week. Doesn't matter how busy you are, right? So it's really that simple. But don't confuse the 3 hours a week that we contribute with the management teams that run those businesses. Those are the most professional, able people that we appoint to run those businesses because we want the best people to run our businesses. We want them to be successful and make profit. But now we're just talking about the business side of things, the profit side of things. Let's talk about the food growing, the community gardens, which is a slightly different thing. Although agriculture, commercial agriculture, is very important. The other important thing is the fixing of the roads, the helping the orphanages and sports, arts, culture, recreation, security for our town, for our businesses, etc. Those are all the other cornerstones that we, as with our 3 hours contribution a week, contribute to making sure that those activities in our town blossom and explode. Arts and culture is dying around the world.
Yes.
sport is under attack. Sports fields don't have budgets to be maintained, and so it goes and so it goes. So
How
suddenly,
would you work alongside the existing councils and government bodies then, as you're putting together this One Small Town initiative?
well, every country will have their own own strategy. In South Africa, there's a certain way we plan to do it, because here it's just completely neglected. There is no support. Literally, there's
Right.
just some sports fields, and the people use them, and they're just neglected. But it all depends what municipality you're in. So in England, in Britain, it'll be a different structure. So keep in mind that we as a community are going to form our own One Small Town People's Council, representative council. And that council will have strong leverage with the town council. Now, I'm coming back to our favorite slogan. We use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. Just imagine for 1 second what I said earlier. The councils are all bankrupt. Yeah, I'm sure in Britain it's approaching
Absolutely.
that as well. In South Africa, they're all bankrupt. They have no money, and therefore they can't deliver the services. And I believe that is a growing reality all over the world. So they really are a dog with no teeth. So they're just barking orders and barking rules and regulations, but they don't have any teeth to really to implement it because they don't have any money. So
Right.
and what I've been saying for many, many years is the One Small Town initiative puts the power back in the hands of the people of the small towns. And how it does that is through money. And this is where the conflict comes in. Because at heart, I'm opposed to money. I'm opposed to capitalist greed. It makes me sick. But it's for that reason that this initiative came about. Because we're now using the power of money, and the more money our town makes that comes back to our community, back to our members, back to our One Small Town office. Imagine if we have £100 million a year that comes to us, or £10 million a month, or even £1 million a month. That is an insane amount of money. So where does the power lie if 1,000 towns across Britain have 10 or 20 or £100 million a year to spend? Where do you think the power lies?
No, yes, and are we talking fiat currency here,
Oh yeah, fiat.
or
This is fiat. I'm talking fiat currency.
right,
However, now we get to the other side of the fence where we've
right?
created our own private membership currency, if you want to call it, reward system, the Infinity Token. And because it's a private membership reward system, it does not fall under the scrutiny of SEC and the financial bodies and so forth. Because yeah, it's like a coupon that you give to somebody for a discount at your store. So you have to work 3 hours to get your Infinity Token. You have to be a member. You have to, and when you're a member, you automatically have your own digital wallet and your membership card. And every time you contribute 3 hours to an official One Small Town project in your community, you automatically get an Infinity Token that gets dropped into your digital wallet. And then you can go to the One Small Town store whenever and see what's on the shelf and get the stuff that you need with your Infinity Token. Now, what we're going to discuss in these workshops is how all of this is connected, so people can see the simplicity, the intricateness, but the simplicity of it, and how we have outsmarted the current system, bringing back the power to our community. So even if the banks had to close their doors, and I really would like your audience to please think about what I'm saying now. If the banks had to close their doors tomorrow, and you realize that you can't access your bank account, you have no money, they have locked everything, and everything comes to a standstill. The One Small Town initiative and our Infinity Token is an instant solution for that problem. Literally, because you just become a member and start contributing towards your community, and you start generating tokens inside your community with which we reward ourselves. So we can carry on trading and exchanging.
And can you be acting as a private bank then, that people could transfer funds from their existing fiat currency
Yes,
bank
yes,
into Infinity onto the
yes. Yeah.
blockchain, so
Well,
it's protected?
that people can do that already. So we've
Oh, right,
launched
okay,
24 million tokens.
right,
We've launched 24 million tokens. and this is where sometimes people get confused, because our Infinity tokens remain a private membership token. It's an NFT. Once it's created, it can't get destroyed. It's on the blockchain. It can't disappear. You can't lose it. It's in your membership account, and it has to either move from your account somewhere else, or it can't get lost or destroyed like
Right.
cryptocurrency. And I just want to warn people. I don't know where you stand on cryptocurrencies. I despise them. I believe they are an absolute instrument of the capitalist greed. They haven't helped anybody. They haven't helped communities. And what Bitcoin promised to be in the beginning has turned out to be a complete con. It was supposed to help people, with operating outside of the fiat system. Well, it very quickly became a means of enrichment instead of a means of empowerment. So Infinity Token steps in where Bitcoin failed us. No one can hijack it. No one can crash it. No one can. It's the most stable cryptocurrency kind of token, if you want to call it that, in the world. Nothing comes close.
And what would happen? This is not a nice question, but what would happen then if something nefarious happened to you? Are those tokens still in existence for
Oh,
everybody else?
absolutely.
Yeah. I just
That's
had to
why,
ask
yeah,
that.
no, it's an important question. These are all the things we're going to go through in these workshops,
Yes.
because that's why
Yes.
it's a full day workshop. Because,
Absolutely.
Richard, this is such an exciting time we're alive. I was watching a documentary on Walt Disney just before this interview.
Oh,
And I was
blimey! I
just
bet that
thinking,
was.
wow, it was really quite mind blowing, a bit disturbing, but also mind blowing. And I just often kept thinking, wow, all I've got to do is the vision that he had for animation is the vision I have for One Small Town.
Right.
Only when he opened Disneyland in Los Angeles and Anaheim, only when he opened that in 1955, people could experience the magic, right? So when we open the first One Small Town, when it opens, not we, when the first One Small Town really launches, and there are community projects going on. People with One Small Town T-shirts. The One Small Town store is up and running. The community kitchen is operating. We've got a few of businesses going on, some farms that are going. The moment that happens, and it doesn't have to be on a large scale, it can be on a small scale. The moment people see and connect those activities, that's the moment the penny's going to drop and go, oh my God, I see what Tillinger was talking about. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
the,
I can absolutely see. I've just written. I'm just in the process of writing a book about a town that doesn't comply, and again, if one in the book, I think it's a metaphor for similar to what you're talking about, because if you get one operational, people start to go, oh, I want to be over there than in this mess.
Yes, exactly. And I get dozens, if not hundreds of emails like that every week. Where is the closest One Small Town to me? I want to move there. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding you. And it breaks my heart. So I want to get there as soon as possible.
Well,
So
it's
that
only time. It's only time.
it's just time, yeah. It's a really exciting time. And so in these workshops in England, we're going to cover all these things and also explain to the people how to get involved, how to launch One Small Town in Great Britain, because there are various levels at which you can enter and launch it. You can enter it at the ambassador level, which is the high level, which you need a proper plan and a team and a 2-year plan and a vision for the town. Or we can enter at the low level, which is what we're now realizing is what we most likely going to be focusing on, and that's the One Small Town store, the trading store, a cafe, a community hub, cafe, trading store, a little bit of some health components thrown in there to some of our amazing health technology we've got, and literally a One Small Town membership community hub that makes a profit, but is also a place for the local farmers to come and offload and sell their produce, and our members to come and trade their goods. And I think that's one thing I needed to tell you. One of the big developments since we've spoken is the One Small Town trading store, together with the community kitchen, obviously, because people are hungry, especially in South Africa. People are hungry everywhere. They just want food. And sometimes they steal or do things that they shouldn't do just to get money to buy food. And that's the terrible thing. So the One Small Town trading store is a game changer in this entire tapestry, and it is literally where you can take your unwanted goods, whether it's clothing or pots or a bicycle or a fridge or something that you don't want, or old CDs or who knows, and you go trade it in. And we've evaluated and we give it a value, and then we put those tokens, we convert it to tokens, infinity tokens, and those tokens are placed into your membership card, your digital wallet. And now you can see what's on the shelf that you want. You might want a jersey or a blanket for winter, or you're looking for a lawnmower or an old laptop. So now you can get stuff without having to have fiat currency. That's the key thing.
Right.
That's
And
the key.
what just strikes me there is that if you're manufacturing stuff, instead of building in that obsolescence which manufacturers are doing, if because people get, they've had something for 5 years, they're fed up with it, rather than it coming to the end of its life in 5 years, if that can go to your trading store and
Yes.
still have another 5 years, it's just perhaps it's a different older design and people are trying to
Yeah.
keep up with the Joneses as they do.
Yeah.
It's without having to making stuff so that it lasts for more than one individual's ownership would be a good policy,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
But Richard, just think about this. In every town, there are really talented people.
Yeah.
People that know how to sew clothes and make lovely fashions or children's clothes, or people that know how to make jams and
Well,
canned
I
goods.
definitely support. That's what I've been talking about for a long time. That we've got to get back to those skills that
Yes.
we had, rather than one big machine that pumps it out.
Exactly. So now Sally, who's been making jams and things, and everybody in town knows how brilliant her jams are. She has no market to sell it. She has to really
Right.
struggle to sell it. Now you whatever you make, you bring to the trading store, you get your infinity tokens, and now you can get whatever you need instead of what you're forced to take.
Right.
This is a game changer on a level that people only realize it when it becomes a reality. It's a very powerful model. And the best part is you don't have to have a job in fiat currency. You don't need to be earning pounds or euros. You can have a bunch of infinity tokens in your digital wallet and you can go and get the best, whatever is on the shelf there. The key thing to this is that some of the profits that we make from the businesses that make a profit for our community, some of those profits are set aside to buy the stock for the shelves, the
Yes.
important critical stock for the shelves. So we've always got something on the shelves that our members can get with the Infinity tokens. And
Coming and going from different,
yes,
presumably, because you're not necessarily going to make everything in your one town.
exactly. And this is where it becomes so important to understand the integration of the small towns and their relationship to each other. They all connected. They all work with the same membership structure, the same infinity tokens, and so forth. So if our town over there is making the best toothpaste and soaps and things that we don't have, we're going to be buying it from them and putting it on our shelf. You see what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
suddenly we're creating a global distribution network, not just within a country or a county, but across oceans of brilliant produce, food, healthcare, whatever it is, technology that we start sharing and exporting to each other.
Well, we certainly need something like this for sure, because what we've got currently is just falling apart and hasn't been for a long time fit for purpose. We're coming to the end of my allotted time, Michael. Thank you for so much. I'm sure a lot of people would be very excited to come up and meet you. Just to give those dates again, if you missed it or didn't write it down, we have the 29th of June in Buxton, right up there in the Peak District. Lovely place to do it, I have to say. And on the 5th of July in Dorking, which is a smallish town, it's a historic town in Surrey, in the Surrey Hills. Perfect place for a one small town, in fact. Just outside the M25, literally just outside the M25, so easy to get to if you want to come along. Michael, thank you so much for telling us about it, and I look forward to coming along. Hopefully my diary says on the 5th, otherwise I'll have to come up to Buxton, which is about 4 hours away, and meeting you in person. So
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Richard. It's
much.
a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you for all the lovely work you're doing, amazing work you're doing in Britain and around the world. Keep up the wonderful work you're doing. The world needs you and the people need your voice.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so. I will put the links in the description to the One Small Town website and all the other bits, and you can obviously find it all from there anyway. But in the meantime, I wish you well and have a safe flight and have a wonderful time whilst you're in the UK
And
or in Britain.
we'll
I'd
see you
rather say
there.
Britain.
We'll
Yeah,
see you there.
brilliant. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting, very exciting. Thank you for watching, and do come along if you can. In the meantime, from Michael and myself, take care. Bye for now.